Hit Film Sensei here. In this video, we're going to talk about what to do if you have little problems that maybe happened when you were filming that then manifested itself in the after or the post production part of your film. And you realize, oh, shoot, that didn't look very good or this messed up. How can you fix that? And I'm going to give you an example, okay? In this case, what we have is a situation where my actor did something he wasn't supposed to do. What happened was that he's wearing a really super nice cloak, and it's not his cloak. We borrowed his cloak for this shoot. And so this was borrowed from somebody else. But the somebody else said, hey, we don't want it to get all dirty and stuff. And he didn't want to get it all dirty and that kind of thing. And so we didn't want to just throw it on the ground. But there's this scene where he throws the cloak onto the ground. And then it's sitting on the ground behind him during the entire shoot. Well, so what we did was I brought the camera in. I'm filming this. So I brought the camera in. And then he's going to go to throw the cloak. And when this happens, look what happens to his eyes. What happens is he tosses the cloak and then he's kind of worried about it. And he goes, whoa. And he looks over there to see if the cloak is, okay, it's good. Because what happened was somebody was on the side catching the cloak, but he was afraid that that person wasn't going to catch it right. And so he kind of looked over to see during that shot if that cloak actually got caught. And it's like, here's my eyes. Ooh, just look for a second. Oh, it's gonna be fine. Oh, he got it. Okay, all right, there we go. So the problem is this looks really bad, and I didn't realize that this had happened when we were filming. And so now I get into post and I go, oh my gosh, this looks terrible, right? He looks distracted. And if you think about what the situation is here, we have this Sith who's hunting down this lone Jedi on a deserted planet. That Sith is finally closed in on his prey. He's not going to take his eyes off that prey. He is going to be laser focused on her. And so because of that, that looks terrible. It's like, here he is, right? Oh, I got my prey, and now I'm going to take my cloak off and kill this Jedi. And then it's like, oh, squirrel. Oh, there we oh, man. Totally wrecks the whole thing. So I said, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have to fix this, all right? How am I going to do that? Well, we're going to use a little bit of partial video replacement. So I'm making a composite shot out of this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this footage. And I'm going to rename this in a second, but I'm going to get to the point where I need to actually do something. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this up to the point where right there, okay, that's where I'm going to go. Okay, and I'm going to bring this in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim it into the other side, okay? All right. So now it's one frame, okay? And now the eyes wander and then they come back to about there, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. I'm going to use my rate stretch tool and I'm going to stretch this out to that frame, okay? So now what happens is that one frame is frozen in time over the length of that, all right? And I'm going to call this the right eyeball, okay? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in as close as I can, which is 800%, and I'm going to grab my freehand mask tool and I am going to cut out his right eyeball right there. And I'm going to do this roughly, but I did this very, very carefully when I did this for the actual movie. And there's his right eyeball, okay? So now I have that eyeball cut out, his right eyeball. And if you were to continue, you'll see that that eyeball has been cut out and it's just sitting there. And over that period, okay? So it starts actually where it belongs, but then, of course, he's moving, the camera's moving, everything's moving, and the eyeball's not moving, okay? And while those eyeballs are looking to his left, you can see how they turn, right? That eyeball looks perfectly straightforward, doesn't it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that eyeball over his eye for the entire shot. Here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to turn that eyeball off for a second. And what I'm going to do is create a track. And I'm going to call this track right eye. Okay. And I'm going to grab it, and I'm going to bring it up here and put it over his right eye, and I'm just going to zoom in again. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to center that right there over his eye. And then I'm going to track this. Oh, you know what? I need to back up one spot. There we go. Track this. So I'm going to track it, but only to that point. So as soon as it goes past that point, then I'm good. Okay? And as you can tell, right, it tracks on pretty darn well. Yeah, pretty good. Okay. All right. So now that that tracker's on there, I'm going to create a point layer, and I'm going to call this point layer right eye position, and I am going to take that right eye track, and I'm going to say, please transform that to the right eye position point. Apply. Okay? So now you can see that that point is sitting right in the middle of the eye the whole time, right? And so now all I have to do is just turn back on my eyeball and parent it to that point. And now that eye doesn't move. You see? Look at that. How awesome is that? Because that eye, if I show you the mask of it, you can see that that eye is tracking now with his eye. Right? So now I've done that eye. Guess what? I can do the other eye too, this one over here. And I'll follow the same exact steps as I did on the first eye. And guess what? When you're all done, it ends up looking like this. Pretty good, huh? So, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, thanks for watching.